வீடியோவை பார்ப்பதற்கு முன் நம்மளுடைய சேனலை சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணலாம், சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்கள். கூடவே பெல் ஐக்கானை கிளிக் பண்ணுங்கள், லைக் பண்ணுங்கள், ஷேர் பண்ணுங்கள்.
செல்வங்களுக்கு வணக்கம். இன்றைக்கி நம்ம பயோசுவாலஜி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் கொஸ்டின்ஸ் பார்க்க போகிறோம். யூனிட் 1, சாப்டர் 1, ரீப்ரொடக்ஷன் இன் ஆர்கானிசம்ஸ். இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் 2 marks. What is parthenogenesis? Give examples. What is apolysis? What are conjugates? What is parthenogenesis? Give 2 examples from animals. Name an organism where cell division is itself a mode of reproduction. What are the 2 types of epimorphosis? Which type of reproduction is effective, asexual or sexual? What is merogamy? Give an example. Important 3 marks. Why is the offspring formed by asexual reproduction referred as a clone? Mention the role of acrosomal reaction and the formation of fertilization membrane. What are gemmules? Important 5 marks. What is parthenogenesis? Explain their types with examples. Chapter 2, Human Reproduction. Important 2 marks. What is mean by fetal ejection reflex? What is inhibin? State its functions. What is the composition of semen? Expand GAFT ICSI. What is colostrum? Write its significance. Write about amniocentesis. What are multiple alleles? Mention the extra embryonic membranes. What is mean by cryptorchism? Important 3 marks. How polyspermy is avoided in humans? Draw a neat diagram of structure of mature sperm and label the pods. The scrotum is acted as thermoregulator. Why? Explain. Tabulate the causative agent, symptoms and incubation period of genital warts. Draw and label human sperm. Placenta is an endocrine tissue. Justify. Important 5 marks. Define spermatogenesis and oogenesis and describe the process with neat diagram. Explain maintenance of pregnancy and embryonic development. Describe the structure of man ovum with a neat labeled diagram. Explain the various phases of menstrual cycle. Describe the structure of the human sperm with a neat labeled diagram. Explain the process of spermatogenesis with a suitable diagram. Give a schematic representation of spermatogenesis and oogenesis in human. Write a note on extra embryonic membranes. Chapter 3, Reproductive Health. Important 2 marks. Write the preventive measures of STDs. How is juvenile phase different from reproductive phase? What is Mayer-Rokitansky syndrome? Differentiate feticide from infanticide. Expand the following ZIFT, ICSI. Write short note on Sahali. What are the uses of fetoscope? What is mean by surrogacy? Important 3 marks. What is amniocentesis? Why a statutory ban is imposed on this technique? Why is statutory ban imposed on amniocentesis in India? Write notes on amniocentesis. Reproductive health, child health care RCH. Write a 3 major tasks of this program. In innate immune, what an anatomical barriers and write the mechanism of barriers. Write in 3 symptoms of fungal sexually transmitted infection candidiasis. Write short notes on polycystic ovary syndrome PCOS. Mention the significance of cryopreservation. What are the strategies to be implemented in India to attain total reproductive health? Write an adaptations of euthermy. Important 5 marks. Explain any 5 techniques of assisted reproductive technology, art. Draw and explain the structure of HIV virus. Unit 2, Chapter 4, Principles of Inheritance and Variation. Important 2 marks. What is Hollandric genes? What are Hollandric genes? Write the symptoms of phenylketonuria. Differentiate euphonics with euthanics. Mention the symptoms of phenylketonuria. Mention the symptoms of Down syndrome. What is pedigree analysis? Important 3 marks. Mention the symptoms of Down syndrome. Write the table of genetic basis of the human ABO blood group. What are the applications of karyotyping? Write 3 applications of karyotyping. What is Lyon's hypothesis? Write the characteristics of Huntington chorea. What is known as skin selection? Explain Turner syndrome. Coagulation factor 8 deficiency leads to hemophilia. Suggest methods to cure the hemophilia. Important 5 marks. Explain the genetic basis of ABO blood grouping in man. Draw the various symbols commonly used in pedigree charts with explanation. What is color blindness? How X-linked gene inherited in the marriage between hemizygous recessive male and normal vision to woman. Explain autosomal aneuploidy in human beings. Explain how sex is determined in humans. Chapter 5 Molecular Genetics. Important 2 marks. Differentiate leading strand and lagging strand. Write the central dogma of protein synthesis in molecular biology. What is operon? How many operon groups are present in E. coli? Define transcription. What is meant by genophore? Important 3 marks. Write any 3 salient features of genetic. Why the Human Genome Project is called a mega project? Why are sex-linked recessive characters more common in the male human beings? Differentiate template strand and coding strand. Write down any 3 salient features of Human Genome Project. Why tRNA is called an adapter molecule? Important 5 marks. Explain the process of DNA replication. What is lac operon? Explain. List out the salient features of genetic code. Write the main goals of Human Genome Project. Explain Hershey and Chase experiment. Write the salient features of genetic code. Explain the formation of nucleosomes. Explain the types of fossilization. State any 3 goals of Human Genome Project. What are the applications of DNA fingerprinting? Chapter 6 Evolution. Important 2 marks. What do you know about coacrivates? Write any 2 objections to Darwinism. Important 3 marks. What is civil right effect? Write any 3 objections to Darwinism. Who disproved Lamarck's theory of acquired characters? How? What are the salient features of mutation theory? Who disproved Lamarck's theory of acquired characters? How? Taking the example of peppered moth, explain the action of natural selection. What do you call the above phenomenon? Important 5 marks. Taking the example of peppered moth, explain the action of natural selection. What do you call the above phenomenon? How does Hardy-Weinberg's expression P plus 2PQ plus Q equal to 1 explain the genetic equilibrium maintained in a population? List any 4 factors that can disturb the genetic equilibrium. Explain modern synthetic theory of evolution. Darwin's finches and Australian marsupials are suitable examples of adaptive radiation. Justify the statement. Unit 3, Chapter 7 Human Health and Diseases. Important 2 marks. What are haptens? Differentiate the term vaccination from immunization. What are interferons? Mention their role. What is Kala-Azar? Define cannabinoids. Name the drugs which have hallucinogenic effects. What is metastasis? Differentiate antibodies from antibiotic. What are the symptoms of mental depression? Important 3 marks. What is mean by vaccines? Mention its types. What are non-infectious diseases? Give an example. Write any 3 differences between active and passive immunity. Differentiate epitope from paratope. List the causative agent, mode of transmission, and symptoms for diphtheria and typhoid. Differentiate between primary and secondary immune responses. Any 3. What are the types of vaccines? Important 5 marks. Write any 5 bacterial diseases in human beings and explain the causative agent, site of induction, mode of transmission, and symptoms. Explain the structure of immunoglobulin with labeled sketch. Differentiate primary and secondary immune responses. Write short notes on amoebiasis, African sleeping sickness. Explain any 5 viral diseases. Tabular column. Explain the structure of immunoglobulin with suitable diagram. Chapter 8 Microbes in Human Welfare. Important 2 marks. Why do we call some strains of bacteria as prime superbug? Who is milk converted into curd? Which is referred to as industrial alcohol? Why? Which one is called queen of drug and why? Name the components to prepare biodiesel. What is bioremediation? Important 3 marks. What is mean by single cell protein? Write short notes on the following. Brewer's yeast, Ideonella saccharensis. Write short notes on the microbial fuel cells. Important 5 marks. What is referred to as industrial alcohol? Briefly describe its preparation. Unit 4, Chapter 9, Applications of Biotechnology. Important 2 marks. Differentiate between the seasonal breeders and continuous breeders with example. Differentiate somatic cell gene therapy from germ cell gene. What are the transgenic animals? Give examples. Differentiate totipotency and pluripotency. Any 2 disadvantages of cloning. Important 3 marks. Enlist the steps involved in the cloning process of Dolly. Differentiate between somatic cell gene therapy, germline and gene therapy. What are stem cell banks? Mention their types. Explain how ADA deficiency can be corrected. Any 3 uses of transgenesis. Important 5 marks. Explain the various steps involved in PCR technique. Give short notes on clotbuster, subunit recombinant vaccines. Unit 5, Chapter 10, Organisms and Populations. Important 2 marks. Differentiate migration and immigration. Define Allen's law. Give the diagnostic characters feature of a biome. Write down any 2 major functions of soil. Important 3 marks. Write a note on eye diapause, hibernation, estivation. Differentiate birth rate from death rate. Differentiate between tundra and taiga biomes. Tabulate and analysis of 2 species of population. Chapter 11 Biodiversity and its conservation. Important 2 marks. Define Red Data Book. List out the biodiversity hotspots in India. What do you mean by saccade groves? Important 3 marks. Tabulate the difference between in situ and ex situ conservation. Important 5 marks. List out the various causes for biodiversity losses.